In this video, we will learn how to create some classification models using various machine learning algorithms with Python. And we will use a very simple data file. So classification is a very common and very useful task for decision making. And there are some machine learning algorithms used for creating classification models. Some of the common machine learning algorithms used for classification are decision trees, neural networks, and logistic regression. There are some others, but these are the three most popular machine learning algorithms. In binary classification, we classify entities into two groups, 0 or 1. I have a very simple data file 1.csv with only one independent variable x and a dependent variable y. Because this is a binary classification problem, the dependent variable y is also called the group variable because it has the groups 0 and 1. We can use Python to build binary classification models using decision tree algorithms or neural network algorithms or logistic regression algorithm. We can also create confusion matrices for the classification models. So there's a library of machine learning functions written for the Python environment. The name of the library for machine learning is sklearn, and the website for the sklearn library is given here. So within the sklearn library, there are modules for decision trees called tree. So tree is the name of the module. For neural networks, the module is called neural_network. And for logistic regression, there's a module called linear_model. Now within these modules, there are functions. So for creating a decision tree, is the name of the module tree dot decision tree classifier. For neural networks, neural_network dot MLP classifier. For logistic regression, linear_model dot logistic regression. So we will now switch to Spyder, where we will see how to write code to create various classification models for the data in VerySimpleDataFile1.csv. So now you will see the Spyder environment and you will see the data in VerySimpleDataFile1.csv. So the first row is the names of the variables x and y, and then we have the values of x and y. We have 4 such rows of data. So we have to create a classification model so that each row is classified as either 0 or 1. So this is a very simple problem. Anybody can see that if the value of x is less than 0.5 or less than 0.4 or less than 0.45, the value of y will be 0, otherwise it will be 1. So let's learn how to write code in Python to create various classification models. So I have created a new file. Right now I have not named it. It's still called untitled1. But after writing some code, we will give it a name. So in this code, we will create classification models using various machine learning algorithms using data in VerySimpleDataFile1.csv, and this is how the file looks like. So the first thing we have to do is write some code to read the data file. So this is the code to read this data file. Import pandas spd. Pandas is a library that we use to read CSV data files. And we read the data file into this variable, which is of type data frame. So data frame xy. And then from this data frame, we extract the x column and call it x, and we extract the y column and call it y. So let's run this code. The code ran successfully. So let's look at the variables. What is the value of this data frame? What's the value of x and y? So we'll click on Variable Explorer. So data frame xy is exactly the data that we had in this file. X is just the x column, 0.2, 0.3, 0.6, 0.7, and y is a y column, 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay. Next, we have to perform reshaping So we recreate X as a NumPy array. It just works better with sklearn modules. So let's run this. This also ran successfully. Let's look at X. So X looks slightly different. Instead of X here, it says 0 here. Next, we will create a decision tree classifier model. So from sklearn, we import the module called tree, and we create a decision tree model using tree.decisionTree classifier. So we import the tree module from sklearn, and then we create a variable called dt model, short for decision tree model, using the decision tree classifier function of the tree module. And then we fit the data into a tree. So let's select this and run this selection. Okay, it ran fine. So if you look at the decision tree model, so this is the model. It's hard to tell what's going on here, but we know that it created something. So now we will do the prediction using the decision tree model that we've created. So it created, so y predict looks like 0011, and that's what the original y was, 0011. So we have 100% accuracy. Next, we plot the decision tree. So we ran the decision tree, and here's a plot. So if x is less than 0.5, then there's two values of 0, and otherwise it's two values of 1. So that's a decision tree. So the rule is x is less than equal to 0.45. Next, we will print the actual versus predicted values. So the first column here is actual, the second column is predicted, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, so 100% accuracy. Next, we will generate and print the confusion matrix. For that, we have to import a function called confusion matrix from sklearn.metrics. And then we create the confusion matrix in a variable called conf_m using the original y and the predicted y. So let's run this. So it has created a confusion matrix 2002, 100% true positive, 100% true negative. We can also print the confusion matrix, so we don't have to go to the variable explorer. Here, I have printed the confusion matrix here, 2002. So that's it. We have created a classifier model using decision trees. Next, we will build a classification model using neural networks. So for that, we import from sklearn.neural_network, we import a function called MLP classifier. And then we create a neural network model using the MLP classifier function, and then we train the model, that is, we fit the data into this model. And then we predict. NN_model.predict using X. So let's run this much. Everything ran fine. So we look at y predict 0011. So this is created by the neural network. We can also print the actual and the predicted values of y 00001111. And then we want to generate and print the confusion matrix. For that, we have this code. And since we have already imported confusion matrix here, we don't really need this. I mean, we can leave it there, it will import again, but why import when we've already imported? (2002). Okay, so now we have created a classification model using decision trees and also using neural networks. Next, we will do the same thing with logistic regression. So we import from sklearn.linear model a function called logistic regression. And then we create a logistic regression model and we fit x and y into that model. And this fit function really creates the logistic regression using the values of x and y. And then we can predict y using the model. So let's run this. So the y predict 0, 0, 1, 1. And finally we will print actual versus predicted and then generate and print the confusion matrix. So we will run this. So we are printing actual versus predicted and then we are creating the confusion matrix. So now we have generated models using decision trees, neural networks, and logistic regression for a very simple data file. And I will save this data file as classification models for VerySimpleDataFile1. So that's the end of this lesson.